She loved hard, rode harder, and believed every promise he whispered. But on one quiet night in Baton Rouge, the woman known for slaying wigs and catching flights was left in a pool of blood, begging for her life as the man she loved screamed, "You not gone f*** up my family." This is the story of Janila Price. A bold, beautiful, no-nonsense hairstylist who wasn't afraid to love out loud, or call out lies when she saw them. But how does a love story built on passion, gifts, and whispered promises turn into a crime scene soaked in betrayal? What happens when the side chick refuses to stay silent, and the main one pretends not to know? Before we dive into this shocking case, like this video and subscribe. Where love turns lethal and lies leave a body count. Janila Price was a force in East Baton Rouge. At just 26 years old, she had already carved out a name for herself in the beauty scene. She wasn't just a hairstylist, she was a brand. With her signature bubblegum pink Dodge Charger wrapped in cursive letters that read, "Slayed by New York, New York," she turned heads everywhere she went. Her installs were flawless, her nails were always sharp, and her attitude even sharper. She wasn't the type to ask for permission or play by anyone's rules. She moved with confidence, talked her talk, and when it came to love, she gave it all. Loudly. Proudly. Dangerously. That love found a target in Torrance Merricks, a 34-year-old real estate developer who looked like money and moved like he owned the city. He wore tailored designer loafers, gold chains that danced against his chest, and a wedding ring he claimed he was about to take off any day now. He carried himself like a man who had it all, the house, the cars, the family, and the side chick he thought no one would question that he was married to a woman named Latrice, a quiet presence who stayed out of the spotlight. They'd been together for 7 years and had 2 children. But that didn't stop Torrance from living a double life with Janila for nearly a year. The two met the way a lot of fast love stories begin, at a rooftop party downtown, late on a humid summer night. Janila had been booked to do a celebrity client's hair for an afterparty and arrived dressed to be seen. Torrance noticed her before she even made it to the bar. According to her friends, he walked up with that slick smile, complimented her nails, and said something like, "A woman who takes care of the details, now that's wifey material." She laughed him off at first. But by the end of the night, they were trading numbers and whispering in corners. By the end of the week, he was taking her out in his Escalade, showing her new properties, and talking about building something real together. Torrance told Janila he was married, yes, but claimed it was over in everything but paperwork. He said he and his wife, Latrice, were living separate lives, just staying under one roof for the kids. He painted Latrice as distant, cold, uninterested. "She don't even sleep in the same room no more," he told Janila. "We just waiting for the right time to file." He told her to be patient. He told her she was the one. And Janila believed him. Why wouldn't she? Torrance made her feel like the center of his world. He paid for a studio suite for her, dropped cash on a French bulldog puppy, and even got her name tattooed behind his ear. She'd post cryptic captions like, "My man, my man, my man," and smile when the likes poured in. Her friends said they'd never seen her so happy, or so protective. If anyone threw shade about her dating a married man, she'd shut it down quick. "He's not married. He's mine, and I'm not going nowhere." For nearly 11 months, the fantasy held together. Date nights. Shopping sprees. Even quick out-of-town trips where she'd post boomerangs from hotel balconies, careful not to tag the city. She called him her future husband. He called her his piece. But things started to shift as time dragged on. The holidays came and went, and instead of spending Thanksgiving curled up on the couch watching movies like he promised, Torrance was posting family photos with Latrice and the kids. Janila made excuses, told herself it was just for appearances, just for the children. But by February, patience had turned into pressure. She wanted answers. Real ones. And Torrance? He kept giving her vague timelines and half-hearted apologies. That's when Janila began to unravel. It started slow, like the simmer before the boil. Janila wasn't just some girl with a crush. She had built her life around Torrance, emotionally, mentally, even financially. He was the one who told her to trust him. To wait. To believe. And for nearly a year, she had done just that. But when the waiting turned into wondering, and the wondering turned into watching holidays pass by without him, something inside her started to shift. She wasn't stupid. She had eyes. She saw the Christmas photos on Facebook. The matching pajamas. The captions about family first. And still, when she asked about it, he gaslit her. It's for the kids. You know how it is. Just give me a little more time. But time wasn't the issue. The truth was. And Janila had had enough of being the secret. That's when the calls to Latrice began. The first time she dialed, she was still trying to be civil. The kind of call you make when you think the truth will set everyone free. Check his phone, sis. That's all she said. Not to start a fight. Just to plant a seed. But Latrice didn't bite. She didn't respond. Maybe she didn't believe her. Maybe she didn't want to. That silence felt like betrayal to Janila, because now she was the one left exposed, with no more cards to play. The second time she called, the tone was different. Keep playing dumb and I'll show up to your kid's school with the receipts. This wasn't a warning anymore, it was a declaration. Janila had gone from heartbreak to war mode. She had spent nearly a year in the shadows, swallowing her pride while Torrance played happy husband on one side of town and lived a whole other life on the other. Now she was ready to shine a light on all of it. And Torrance? He felt that pressure. He felt his two worlds crashing into each other and Janila holding the match. He was furious. Embarrassed. Panicked. A man who had spent years crafting a perfect image as a businessman, family man, provider was now being threatened by the very woman he once promised the world to. And it didn't help that Janila wasn't bluffing. She had photos. Messages. Voicemails. Even a video of Torrance saying he couldn't wait to wake up next to her every day. He texted a friend in a moment of frustration. If she push it, I'ma have to end that bitch. Maybe the friend thought it was a vent. A throwaway line. But now. That message reads like prophecy. Still, Torrance played the part. On the evening of May 14, 2024, he pulled up to Janila's cousin's baby shower. Like everything was normal. Like the woman he'd been lying to for nearly a year wasn't now threatening to blow up his whole life. He showed up clean-cut, low voice, soft smile. Told her they needed to talk. Said he missed her. Said they could work it out, if she just calmed down. To Janila, it probably sounded like progress. He was there. He wanted to talk. Maybe, just maybe, this meant he was finally ready to make it right. They left together. At 11:42 p.m., surveillance footage from her apartment complex shows them entering her building. Her hoodie was oversized and pink, slippers on her feet. He had his hand on her back, walking behind her like a man who belonged. But that would be the last time anyone saw Janila alive. Because only one of them would walk out. What happened inside those four walls was never caught on video. Torrance had erased the footage from her Ring doorbell, thinking that would cover his tracks. But he didn't know about the voice note. Maybe Janila had a feeling. Maybe she knew something felt off. Or maybe she had just gotten into the habit of documenting things in case she needed to defend herself later. Whatever the reason, she hit record. What that voice note captured was chilling. The fight had already started by the time it began. You hear a loud crash, maybe a table flipping, maybe a lamp falling. Then you hear her voice. Not the confident, head-held high voice people knew. This one was small. Shaking. I'll stop, I swear. I won't say nothin' else. Then, Torrance's voice roars through the speaker, angry, guttural, unrecognizable. You not gone, fuck up my family. And then, silence. No more screaming. No begging. Just the hum of static and the cold, empty hush of something irreversible. Hours passed before anyone knew something was wrong. The next morning on May 15th, birds chirping, the hum of lawnmowers in the distance, kids getting ready for school. Nothing out of the ordinary. Except one apartment on the second floor was unusually still. Too still. That's when the barking started. At first, neighbors thought Janila had just overslept or stepped out and left the dog inside. But as the hours dragged on, the barking got more desperate, shrill, anxious, like the little French bulldog inside knew something wasn't right. And then came the blood. A maintenance worker noticed it first, a thin, dark stream sliding out from under Janila's front door, snaking its way across the hallway tile. The 911 call came in just after 9 a.m. Officers arrived minutes later. When there was no answer at the door, they kicked it in, and what they found made even the most seasoned detective step back. The apartment was still, eerily still. There she was. Janila Price. 26 years old. Face down on her living room floor. Wearing nothing but a long t-shirt and her signature pink slippers. The scent of blood hung thick in the air. She had been stabbed 32 times. Twice through the heart. Once in each eye. This wasn't just rage. This was personal. It was intimate. She had fought. Hard. Her acrylics were shattered, ripped clean off in the struggle. There were bruises across her arms, slices on her palms. Defensive wounds. She hadn't gone quietly. There were signs of cleanup. Bleach on the floors. A trash bag missing from the kitchen. Her Ring doorbell footage had been wiped. Whoever did this didn't just want her dead, they wanted her silenced. And yet, the most damning piece of evidence couldn't be scrubbed away. Not with bleach. Not with panic. Not even with murder. Her phone was found shattered near the couch, screen cracked, casing busted like it had been stomped. Useless at first glance. But investigators took it anyway, hoping maybe, just maybe, something could be salvaged. And they were right. Inside her cloud backup, buried in a voice memo folder, was a 47-second audio file. A file she had likely started recording the moment things went south. It wasn't crystal clear. There was shuffling, yelling, the sound of a struggle. But the voices? They were unmistakable. Janila's, pleading, scared, trying to de-escalate. I'll stop, I swear. I won't say nothin' else. And then his. Torrance Merricks. 34 years old. Real estate developer. Father. Husband. You not gone, fuck up my family. Then nothing. No more shouting. No more crying. Just, silence. That audio clip wasn't just a smoking gun. It was a confession, captured by the victim herself. Her final act of resistance. Her last attempt to leave behind the truth. And now, the truth had a voice. A timestamp. And a name. All eyes turned to Torrance. And it wouldn't be long before the man who thought he got away, realized Janila never let him. By the time Janila's story hit the local news that afternoon, Baton Rouge was already buzzing like a beehive cracked open. Word traveled fast in that city, but this? This wasn't just gossip. This was horror wrapped in glam. A local legend, 26-year-old Janila Price, the mobile hairstylist known for slaying wigs, flipping bundles, and pulling up in her pink Dodge Charger like a star in her own music video, had been found brutally murdered inside her own apartment. And the way she went out? People couldn't stop talking about it. The salons were packed, but no one was laughing. Barbershops had the news playing on loop. Twitter threads exploded with theories. Girls from the club posted videos crying into their phones. Janila wasn't just some random name. She was the girl. The one everybody knew or knew of. Her energy was loud, her hustle louder, and the love she gave. Too loud for her own good. And while the whole city sat with their stomachs in knots, grieving, replaying old TikToks, trying to make sense of it all, Torrance Merrickx carried on like nothing happened. He didn't disappear. He didn't confess. He went home. Kissed his kids good morning. Kissed his wife, Latrice, like he didn't just rip another woman's life apart with his bare hands. Told her he was headed to the gym. Same iced-out chain around his neck. Same neatly trimmed beard. Same calm, clean voice he always used to lie. And then he posted a black and white throwback photo of himself, standing outside of a new home he'd flipped last year. Captioned with a single emoji, praying hands, and a gospel track playing in the background. Like he was grieving. Like he was a victim. Like he didn't have fresh blood caked under his fingernails. But the thing about secrets, no matter how deep you bury them, they don't stay dead for long. What Torrance didn't know was that Janila, sharp as ever, had started a voice note the moment that final argument began. She hit record in fear, not even knowing if it would save her, but it would speak for her when she no longer could. The audio was only 47 seconds long, but it said everything. That voice note, pulled from her cloud backup, was the final nail. But investigators didn't stop there. They dug deep. They pulled GPS data from Torrance's iPhone. It placed him right at her apartment complex the night of May 14, at 11:42 p.m. They secured surveillance footage from a neighbor's outdoor cam, showing his black Escalade pulling up. They checked his browser history, searches like, how to wipe iPhone permanently, does deleted audio stay in the cloud, and how long can blood stay on carpet before it smells. It wasn't suspicion anymore. It was proof. When police showed up to question him, Torrance was gone. Vanished into thin air. He didn't show up to work. His phone was off. No one could reach him, not even Latrice. At first, she told officers she was worried. Said he probably needed space. That maybe he was grieving privately. But deep down, she knew. He wasn't grieving. He wasn't in shock. He was running. And he almost got away. 3 days later, detectives tracked a tip to a dingy little motel just off Airline Highway. The kind of place where people disappear, cheap weekly rates, flickering neon signs, no questions asked. He checked in under the name Kevin Boyd. When police burst through the door, they found him lying on the edge of the bed, watching TV. Calm. Unbothered. But the room told another story. A suitcase crammed with $18,000 in stacked 20s and 50s. 2 burner phones, one already snapped in half. Torrance didn't put up a fight. Didn't say a word. Just stood there in the stale motel light as the cuffs locked around his wrists. Quiet. But that silence. It screamed louder than anything he ever said to Janila. The trial of Torrance Merrickx was one of the most anticipated cases Baton Rouge had seen in years. Crowds lined up outside the courthouse. Reporters camped on the sidewalk like it was a movie premiere. But inside those walls, there was nothing glamorous, only the raw, messy truth about a man who lived 2 lives and ended one to protect the other. From the moment the trial began, the defense came out swinging. Their strategy was cold and calculated, just like Torrance. They painted Janila as an obsessive side piece, a woman who refused to let go, who stalked, threatened, manipulated. They called her unstable. Said she had a history of emotional outbursts. Claimed she blackmailed Torrance, pushed him to the edge, and that he, panicked, desperate, just snapped. They tried to turn her into the villain of her own murder. But the prosecution? They brought the receipts. Every single one. They showed the jury text messages from Torrance just days before the murder. Not panicked. Not confused. Prepared. One in particular silenced the courtroom. "If she push it, I'ma have to end that bitch." Those words echoed off the walls like a bullet. Cold. Clear. Intentional. They pulled up the timeline, how Torrance had cleaned the crime scene, wiped Janila's phone, deleted the Ring camera footage from her front door. How he took her shattered phone, broke it into pieces, and left it under the couch, thinking no one would ever check the cloud backup. But they did. And that 47-second voice note? Played loud and raw for the jury to hear. It was brutal. The courtroom sat frozen. Some jurors wiped tears. Others stared hard at the floor. Because in that clip, Janila wasn't some wild, side chick. She was terrified. Pleading. Human. The prosecution didn't have to exaggerate. The truth was damning enough. And then, there was Latrice. When she stepped into the witness box, the whole room seemed to stop breathing. Dressed in all black, she didn't cry. Not once. But her voice cracked in just the right places. Her words were like a slow bleed. She revealed she knew about Janila. Had known for months. Said Torrance had spun the story well, told her Janila was delusional, just some girl he'd tried to help but who'd caught feelings and lost her mind. She believed him. Because she wanted to believe him. Because she was trying to protect her family. But as she spoke, her tone changed, from pain, to rage, to regret. She wasn't lying, Latrice said, her voice trembling. He told her he was leaving me. He told me she was crazy. But it was him. All of it was him. That testimony hit harder than any expert analysis or police report. The room felt different after Latrice spoke. No one looked at Torrance the same way again. The jury deliberated for just under 4 hours. No dramatic back and forth. No drawn-out debates. When they returned, the verdict was swift. Certain. Guilty. First-degree murder. Obstruction of justice. Life in prison. No parole. No mercy. Torrance Merricks didn't flinch when the sentence was read. Just like in the motel room, he stood still, expressionless. The same calm that made women fall for him now looked like something else, something empty. The courtroom doors closed behind him, and for the first time in a long time, Baton Rouge breathed a little easier. But Janila's story didn't end there. Her friends still post her TikToks, videos of her laughing in the car, dancing while waiting on a client, showing off the latest install with that confident little smirk she always had. Her pink Dodge Charger is now parked outside her cousin's house, untouched. A small memorial of candles, flowers, and handwritten notes lines her old apartment door. Her death went viral. Her story became a cautionary tale, shared in group chats, dissected on podcasts, turned into threads that stretched for days. Not because she was famous. But because she was familiar. Janila didn't die because she loved the wrong man. She died because the man she loved saw her as a threat to his image, and he chose silence over honesty, murder over accountability. It wasn't love that took her life. It was the lie of love, a lie that only lasted as long as he could keep her in the dark, as long as he could juggle two worlds without them ever colliding. But eventually, they did. And in that collision, there was no room for her truth. Only a body left in a pool of blood, and a man who thought his secrets were worth more than her life. Do you think Janila's death could have been prevented if Latrice had spoken up earlier, or was Torrance always going to snap? Could anything have stopped this tragedy, or was it just a matter of time before it all unraveled? Let us know in the comments below. If this story gripped you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, where love, lies, and secrets always come to light.